Alway, true to Caesar.
I've read Mr. House's obituary. Had a high opinion of himself, didn't he? With Mr. House out of the way, I can focus on smoothing out a few lingering complications elsewhere in the Mojave. First up are the boomers of Nellis Air Force Base, a tribe so reclusive it lobs artillery shells at anyone who comes near their settlement. I want you to offer them an alliance with my Legion. My terms are simple. Target their guns against the NCR side of the dam when I assault it, and they can keep their freedom. If you find they aren't amenable to this offer, destroy them. Is that so? You are good, aren't you? If the boomers will toe the line, I can focus on other preparations, but not without first rewarding your initiative. Now, moving on. I want you to forge an alliance between Caesar's Legion and the White Glove Society. They used to be cannibals. I expect that information can be used to manipulate them. Go to... Oh! God damn it! Never this bad before. Fuck this. I'm going to lie down. Come back later. Tomorrow.
Thank you for visiting New Vegas.
It's hard to sleep in this place, I tell you. Last night, some girl was pounding on my...
Beg your pardon, but could I trouble you to turn over your weapons? My deepest apologies for the slightest inconvenience. You have my assurance that everything will be returned upon your departure. But we simply can't have anyone waving their weapons around in the hotel. It's not the atmosphere we wish to cultivate. Please, enjoy your stay. Adieu.
Welcome to the Ultralux. I do hope it exceeds your every expectation. Tell your ruler we have no interest in such ties. Caesar's Legion is a collection of unclean barbarians. Any time the White Glove Society is mentioned in the same breath, it sullies our good name. As much as Mortimer and some of the other members have tried to convince me otherwise, I will not have us seen as savages. Ta-ta!
How may I be of service, sir? Looking to elevate his social status, is he? I'll admit, I could see benefits to living under his rule, certain transgressions he'd be willing to overlook. But that's neither here nor there, I'm afraid. Marjorie won't have it, as long as she fails to see the wisdom of my perspective. No, not from the likes of you, I'm afraid. I don't think you'd have the stomach for it. Better look elsewhere. Indeed.
Hey.
By order of Caesar.
Are you okay?
Awe. True to Caesar.
The last time we met, I believe we were talking about the White Glove Society. I appreciate your concern, but I'm in excellent health, and we have other matters to discuss. Have you been successful in your efforts to recruit the White Glove Society? You've been resourceful in the past. Why are you a failure now? You'd best step up your performance with this next assignment. I want you to destroy the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. It's not a full-strength chapter, mind you. The profligates... Huh? Yeah. Yeah. The Brotherhood. Them. I don't know. There have been a couple. Don't. But just leave it alone. I'm fine. Now, what was I saying? Right. Look for the Brotherhood's bunker around, Hidden Valley. My scouts saw some things. I'm going to bed. We'll talk later.
Our way, true to Caesar.
Dodge this! You scum! You bat! Filthy low-life scum! Ah!
Over here!
Hey! Hey!
Abdul.
Watch out!
Engaging!
I've got this one. Flank them. On it. Can't stand up to this, can you?
This'll be over quickly.
Come on!
Dodge this! Can't stand up to this, can you? Can't stand up to this, can you? Commencing the... Come out and face your death! This little sneak is beginning to vex me. Can't stand up to this, can you?
Engaging.
You're no match for us.
Engaging.
continue.
Can't stand up to this, can't you?
Crossfire.
I'm with you.
Set up a crossfire.
By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and relinquish all banned items. Awe.
Some of this.
Has the Brotherhood been destroyed? Very well. This latest victory brings to a close my efforts to reshape the power balance of the Mojave. And not a minute too soon. I want you to join me in my tent. You and I are going to have a private conversation.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the Burned Man again.
All right, let's state the obvious. There's something wrong with me. The headaches started a couple of months ago. They weren't too bad at first, but now they come frequently and they're debilitating. For the past 2 weeks, my left leg has been dragging. It's stiffer, hard to move. And you've seen me blank out. Lucius says I stare into space, blink a few times, then keep talking like nothing happened. So what's the diagnosis? I figured as much. Congratulations, you just became my personal physician. Do you have what you need to treat my condition? Then gather those items together and hurry back to perform the operation. I don't know how long I've got. It's never had a functional diagnostic scanning module. Without that, it's useless for surgery. It's been said that the autodocs were standard equipment in the underground vaults where mankind survived when the bombs fell centuries ago. You can search the vaults, but every autodoc my Legion has run across has been stripped for parts long before we found it. Some of my scouts did report an abandoned vault near Nellis Air Force Base. Overrun by ghouls, they said. Maybe the infestation has been there long enough to keep scavengers out. Why don't you go and see? Do that, and try not to take too long. You know everything you need to know. Be on your way. What did you want to know? My Praetorians embody the martial ideals of my Legion. Each one of them has done enough conquering and killing to deserve the rank of Centurion. Instead, I invited them to join my guard. So the invitee chooses whichever current guard he thinks is weakest and challenges him. The fight is to the death. It keeps them from getting complacent. Lucius has been the head of my guard for 5 years now. He was a subordinate guard for 8 before that. No invitee has dared to challenge him yet. Maybe it's an issue of respect. He is getting on in years. What else did you want to know? Vulpes is the best of my Frumentari, a remarkable individual from an unremarkable tribe south of the Utah. He was brought into the Legion as a boy, survived training, fought well enough as a legionary to be promoted to the rank of Decanus. Then in battle against an unimportant tribe, he broke ranks and led his contubernium through a hole in their defenses to capture its chieftain. Well, its Kenturian wanted him crucified for disobedience, so I made him a frumentari. Whatever I require, infiltration, assassination, dramatic atrocities to break the spirit of the enemy, etc. They're mentally flexible. They operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, imitating the enemy's customs without becoming sullied. In all these things, Vulpes is a master. What else did you want to know? Linnaeus is the greatest of my battlefield commanders. Some might call him a great man, but I'm not sure he qualifies. Once, he was the greatest warrior of the Hydebarks, a tribe of the Arizona. Maniacal in battle. Sometimes he'd ambush Legion patrols by himself. When after several months we found and surrounded the Hydebarks camp, their chieftain raised a banner of surrender. The warrior, who was not yet Linnaeus, went insane with rage. He struck down his chieftain and attacked his own tribe. He killed 15 before they brought him down. He didn't die, obviously. I had him tended to. He was maimed, most of his face torn off. It was days before he regained consciousness. When he did, I went to his bedside and showed him the helmet I'd had forged to cover his face. I said he could have it if he'd fight for me. He accepted, on condition that he be allowed to kill the surviving males of his tribe. I said, make it the adult males, and you have a deal. Linnaeus is savage. Savagely loyal, too, but only to me. He has no love for my legion. But this has its uses. He has no attachment to his men, no compunction about battlefield losses. All he cares about is destroying the enemy. When another legatus or a Kenturian fails to achieve results, I send Linnaeus to make things right. His first step is to beat the failed commander to death in front of his assembled troops. Then he orders the ritual of decimatio. It means decimation, but in ancient Rome the word had a very specific meaning, a punishment for cowardice. The legionaries are lined up in ranks. Every 10th man steps forward and is beaten to death by his brothers. It instills a certain robust obedience. Yes, this time my legionaries will be more frightened of the commander behind them than the enemy before them. There will be no failure this time, no retreat, no years of gathering slaves and resources for another assault. With Linnaeus to drive the legion forward, the dam will be taken. It will be our bridgehead across the Colorado. It's not going to happen again, that's all I have to say about it. And I've heard it's a bad idea to tempt the wrath of Caesar. Change the subject. What else did you want to know? Do you want my opinion as a former citizen or future conqueror? Actually, my opinion's the same either way. As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years? And that her father, Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does that sound like a democracy to you? Or a hereditary dictatorship? Because the council didn't dare oppose her. She was too popular. She had the people's love. So things ran smoothly, more or less. And as soon as she was gone, as soon as there really could be democracy, what happened then? Ever since losing its queen, the NCR has been weaker, more diffuse. Democracy has been its weakness, not its strength. Greed runs rampant. The government is corrupt, accepting bribes from Brahmin barons and landowners to the detriment of citizens. The NCR is a loose conglomerate of individuals looking out for themselves. It's lost virtue. No one cares about the collective, the greater good. It's not built to last. I'm just hastening the inevitable. Of course, the most powerful my legion has faced. Also the first to which I am ideologically opposed. Until now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted, enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them. My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire. Just as my namesake campaigned in Gaul before he crossed the Rubicon, so have I campaigned and will cross the Colorado. What else did you want to know? I know he's dead. I know he's no longer a factor. That's all I need to know. Losers don't matter in the history books. He's a fucking footnote. What else did you want to know? I've analyzed the region's tribe to determine how they might be useful. I may tell you more at a later time, if it suits me. Ironically, I was born a profligate myself, a citizen of the NCR. My family lived not far from the Great Boneyard. After raiders killed my father, my mother sought the followers' protection. I was 2 years old. She found work at their library, cooking and cleaning. I learned how to read, and soon I was taking courses, free of charge. Oh yes, raised in that tradition. And the teaching stuck. I was taught it was my responsibility to bring the torch of knowledge to the wastes. I may have taken the torch part more literally than they intended. When I was 20, the followers sent me east to Grand Canyon. It was my first expedition, just me and a physician named Calhoun. As an anthropologist and linguist, my assignment was to learn the dialects of the Grand Canyon tribes. What a fucking waste of time. If you think it's worthwhile to make smart people learn how to talk like backward savages, you're a follower of the apocalypse, or an idiot. Anyway, we met up with a Mormon missionary who already knew a bunch of dialects, Joshua Graham. He was supposed to teach me, but before that went too far, the Blackfoot tribe captured us to hold us for ransom. They were a backward bunch, but the real problem was they didn't know how to fight. The Blackfoot were at war with 7 other tribes, each just as pissant as they were. But outnumbered like that, they weren't going to last long. It's one thing to be taken hostage, another to be lashed to a sinking ship. So over Calhoun's objections, I decided to take certain steps. I taught them how to use the guns they already had, how to strip and clean them, how to breathe when pulling a trigger, how to reload ammunition. They looked at me like I was some kind of a sorcerer. So I taught them how to make explosives and started drilling them on small unit tactics. If there's anything I learned as a follower of the apocalypse, it's that there's a lot of good information in old books. Divide et impera, divide and conquer. I led the Blackfoot against the Ridgers, their weakest enemy. When they refused to surrender, I ordered every man, woman, and child killed. When next we surrounded the Kaibabs, and they likewise refused, I took one of their envoys to the Ridgers' village and showed him the corpse piles. This was new for the tribes, you see. They played at war, raiding each other, a little rape and pillage here, a little ransoming there. I showed them total warfare. Like I said, there's a lot you can learn from old books. Kaibabs joined me, and the Fredonians after that. All the pissant tribes with names that should be forgotten. I knew from the start I'd need to eradicate this plague of tribal identities, replacing them with a monolithic culture, a uniform identity. So that's what I did once my confederation of tribes was large enough. I crowned myself Caesar and created a single great tribe, my legion. I sent Calhoun, the follower captured with me, back west with a message that I should not be interfered with. Joshua Graham, the Mormon interpreter, stayed with me and served as my first legatus. That's right. Decades of warfare, absorbing lesser tribes, gathering power, forging the dross into a vast, razor-sharp scythe. My legion's expansion has never ceased. Much of the Utah and Colorado and all of Arizona and New Mexico are mine. We have cities of our own, but nothing compared to Vegas. Finally, my legion will have its Rome. I used Imperial Rome as the model for my legion precisely because it was so foreign, so alien. I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America, the infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself. In Rome, I found a template for a society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world, a society that could and would survive, a society that could prevent mankind from fracturing and destroying itself in this new world by establishing a new Pax Romana. It means a nationalist, imperialist, totalitarian, homogenous culture that obliterates the identity of every group it conquers. Long-term stability at all cost. The individual has no value beyond his utility to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production. No, I'll destroy it because it's inevitable that it be destroyed. It's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity. How do I put this basically enough? It's a philosophical theory, the kind you might encounter if you took time to read some books. The fundamental premise is to envision history as a sequence of dialectical conflicts. Each dialectic begins with a proposition, a thesis, which inherently contains or creates its opposite, an antithesis. Thesis and antithesis. The conflict is inevitable, but the resolution of the conflict yields something new, a synthesis, eliminating the flaws in each, leaving behind common elements and ideas. The bombs wiped the slate clean. Human civilization descended to a level of ignorance that effectively set our cultural progress back to zero. The NCR has all the problems of the ancient Roman Republic: extreme bureaucracy, corruption, extensive senatorial infighting. Just as with the ancient Republic, it is natural that a military force should conquer and transform the NCR into a military dictatorship. Thesis and antithesis. The Colorado River is my Rubicon. The NCR Council will be eradicated, but the new synthesis will change the Legion as well, from a basically nomadic army to a standing military force that protects its citizens and the power of its dictator. It's called an autodoc. It can treat broken bones, cuts, punctures, scrapes. Sometimes I bestow its use upon someone I favor. Makes for a powerful gift in a culture that forbids painkillers and is largely ignorant of medical science. Complete your mission and return to me.
Our way, true to Caesar.
You're back. Do you need medical attention? Because you're a friend of the followers, I can give you a bit of a discount.
By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and relinquish all banned items.
Our way, true to Caesar.
Our way, true to Caesar. Caesar sleeps, but doesn't awaken. I fear it is only a matter of days before death claims him. You will answer to me until such a time as Caesar is able to resume leadership. The Burned Man was Caesar's advisor and general when the Legion was originally formed. The Burned Man led us to a disastrous defeat at the dam. On Caesar's orders, the Burned Man was covered in pitch by the Praetorian Guard, lit on fire, and cast into the Grand Canyon. Caesar has forbidden us from ever speaking his true name again, and so we simply refer to him as the Burned Man. He's the best warrior in the Legion. A full legionary by the time he was 12, he's never lost a battle. Had the Legate been in command during the Battle of Hoover Dam, the Legion would have won. I have no doubt about that. No, Legate Lanius is Caesar's second. The Legate replaced the Burned Man after the Legion's defeat at the dam several years ago. Legate Lanius will take Caesar's place at the head of the Legion. The Legate is a fine warrior, and the Legion will do well under his command. It's a tradition in the Praetorians to specialize in unarmed combat, because weapons can break or jam when needed most. However, our unarmed techniques favor offense over defense. We can charge the enemy and flatten him with our first strike before he can react. Of course, this will take some time, and I'm not a forgiving teacher. It is a great honor for anyone outside the Legion to get an audience with Caesar. I'll answer if I can. When I was a boy, the Legion conquered my tribe. I was chosen for training as a legionary. I fought in many battles for the Legion. Eventually, Caesar chose me to lead his Praetorian Guard. It was a great honor. The girls and women were enslaved, and many of the men and boys were also chosen to become legionaries. The rest were killed. We were savages. The Legion raised us up, made us better than what we were. The NCR Rangers are the biggest threat. Without them, the NCR is nothing. Caesar has taught us that over-reliance on firearms can only weaken us in the long run. It's why we train heavily with our blades and our fists. Unlike an NCR trooper, a legionary is always ready to fight, regardless of the circumstance he finds himself in. We had the numbers, but not the tactics. I know. I was there at Boulder City when we were defeated. We relied too much on veteran legionaries for direction and leadership, and the Rangers exploited our weakness by killing our best from afar. And just about every one of them is occupied. Not all at the same time, usually. Groups of legionaries come and go all the time. This is also only one camp of many. You might have noticed the other camps down by the river. We recently obtained an artillery weapon, but we don't have the part or the skill to fix it. The trader Dale Barton salvaged it from a military base in Arizona. Yuma, I believe. The best marksmen of the NCR are usually at the rear of any battle. The gun will allow us to strike at them. The tribe calling themselves the Boomers is obsessed with such weapons, I've been told. You can probably find a spare firing mechanism there. Wale.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the Burned Man again.
I thank you for saving my life. You're a warrior and a healer, a rare combination. I trust this payment is adequate compensation for your troubles. Now, lest we grow sentimental here, the time for battle will soon be upon us. Legatus Linnaeus draws nigh. When he arrives, my legion will assault Hoover Dam. In the meantime, the profligates have prepared a welcome gift for us. The president of the NCR intends to visit Hoover Dam. That's what I like to hear. One of my Frumentaria set up camp near Hoover Dam. His name is Cato Hostilius. Go to him. He'll have further instructions.